What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And guys, training camp is finally here. The Chiefs opened up the first day of training camp with an interesting roster decision. We're going to talk about it right after this. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back into another video on my channel. Guys, training camp is finally here. The Chiefs opened up practice today. Team president Mark Donovan said that Chiefs fans started lining up outside of St. Joe's at 2 a.m. for the opening day of training camp. So I think it's safe to say that football is back. It's back. Football is back. The smell of football is in the air. People are excited for this upcoming season for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot of new faces on this team, and we're going to talk about a couple of those new faces in this video because I think coming out of day one of training camp, this is probably the biggest piece of news. And we got a lot of interesting things that we'll definitely be discussing on this channel over the next few days. But I want to start with this, and this is from Nate Taylor, now over at ESPN. Here's the offensive line for the first group rep. Josh Simmons, left tackle. Kingsley Suamataia, left guard. Creed Humphrey, center. Trey Smith, right guard. And Jalen Moore, right tackle. So you have the newcomer, both the newcomers, but the draft pick, the rookie Josh Simmons, is starting training camp at left tackle. We're going to break that down. And then you have the right tackle, Jalen Moore, beginning camp at right tackle. Now, this is a very interesting configuration for the Chiefs to roll out there on day one. Now, it is worth noting, and like I said, we're going to be discussing a lot on this channel over the next few days, including, injury updates. I probably should have started with an injury update first, but you know what? I may even make one right after this just to put one out for you guys. But if you missed it, Juwan Taylor is starting training camp on the PUP list. Unclear what the injury actually is for him, but this does give the Chiefs the opportunity to see what they have in newcomers Joshua Simmons and Jalen Moore. So let's start with Josh Simmons, actually, the rookie left tackle. I mean, this is a guy that a lot of Chiefs fans were excited about coming into training camp, coming into this next season. I've held firm for most of the offseason, even since the Chiefs drafted Josh Simmons, that this was a move for 2026. He's coming off the torn patellar tendon. That's a tough injury for big guys. Didn't really play that much his last season in college. I saw some things on his tape that made me think he'd be a little bit more of a project than what we've seen so far. Again, we'll get into that. Lots to talk about, lots to unpack. But, I just thought this was more of a move for 2026, and I've held firm on my position all offseason that Jalen Moore is still the starting left tackle for this team. He's the veteran presence. He's played snaps in this league. He's put film out there showing that, he has the ability to be a solid starting left tackle. And I thought that gave him a really big edge over Josh Simmons because the past few years now, the Chiefs have trotted out rookies or inexperienced left tackles, and it just has ended really in disaster each time. And I just didn't want the same to happen with Josh Simmons, where you throw him out there, we just assume he's the starting left tackle and he's not ready. And then all of a sudden his confidence is shot, just like what happened with Kingsley when they threw him out there with little to no experience and said, hey, go protect Patrick Mahomes, the most valuable asset this league has. And that didn't quite work. We saw he was getting blown by on every single snap. But you have now Josh Simmons, who, and we talked about this with Lucas Murphy, the beat of KC, when we did the Kingdom Crew podcast earlier this week. And he brought up how Andy Reid has been very, complimentary of Josh Simmons and has really hyped him up. And you don't hear Andy Reid do that too much. He doesn't really overhype his guys, but he's really been, advertising how good Josh Simmons has been. And then we open up camp today, we see a couple clips of Josh Simmons really moving fantastically, especially considering he came off that injury. And I'm telling you what, guys, right now, you're hearing it now, first time on the show. I think I might be moving off my prediction that Jalen Moore is the starting left tackle to begin the season. Now, that said, I still think there's a very, very good chance that we see Jalen Moore at left tackle at some point next season, whether that's due to injury or Josh Simmons struggling as a rookie. I think that might happen. So don't ignore the possibility that Jalen Moore could still be this team's left tackle at some point. But what's interesting is that the Chiefs, of course, started camp with Jalen Moore at right tackle and with Jawan Taylor hurt. And we also discussed this on Kingdom Crew, which you know what? I'll link the Kingdom Crew episode in the description in case you guys missed it, because we talked about a lot of good stuff in there. But, we said Jalen Moore is the type of guy that, if he doesn't win that starting left tackle job, or if Josh Simmons does beat him out, he could be a very good right tackle and potentially the right tackle of the future, because I think a lot of people have kind of come to the conclusion that this is Jawan Taylor's last year on the Kansas City Chiefs. When you look at the fact that the Chiefs, didn't restructure him this past offseason when that was an option for them, it was because they wanted to pay a lot of that money now instead of moving it later down the road, probably because they plan on cutting Jawan Taylor after this year. We know his contract has been a little bit of an albatross for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sure Brett Veach would like to have that one back. Not that Jawan Taylor has been a bad player, and I think he gets, a little bit more hate than is probably deserved. But nonetheless, the contract doesn't really fit the player. So I think it's safe to say that the Chiefs move on from Jawan Taylor after this year. And so with that said, I think the offensive line that we saw today is a glimpse into what the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line will be in 2026. And also, if Jawan Taylor struggles with injuries this year, or if he just struggles in general, I think you could see the Chiefs throw Jalen Moore out there. But how good of a position are the Chiefs in that, if you lose a starting tackle, you now have Jalen Moore, who, again, has played games, has looked good on tape, played for a very good 49ers offense, started in place of Trent Williams for a few games, looked really good. And you could really plug him in at either tackle spot, in my opinion. And he's got experience in this league, again, the steady veteran presence. And that's not even including, Wanya Morris as well, who's got a few years under his belt now in this league. He's good depth on the offensive line. You got to hand it to Brett Veach. He's built incredible depth along this offensive line. And that includes Jalen Moore as well. And I've always kind of said, since we signed him, $15 million per year for a guy that is not really, slated to start at any spot on the offensive line, that would be kind of strange to me. Like, they paid him a good chunk of change. But look, if he's your right tackle of the future, if that's what they're envisioning for him right now, then I think I'm okay with it. And at the very worst, now it's not like I'm going to sit here and spend all season long, complaining about how the Chiefs decided to give Jalen Moore $15 million per year. And it's not even like it's hindering them from doing anything else. And it's a short-term deal too. So it's really not that big of a deal. It was just a little peculiar to me. But you know what? I really like this offensive line situation for the Chiefs right now. I thought these guys looked really good in day one of camp, just based on the few clips that I saw and some of the notes. This is definitely the position group that I think is going to get probably the most attention throughout camp. But I want to ask you guys, for those of you watching, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Do you think that this could be the Chiefs' potential starting offensive line in 2026? Do you think we got a glimpse into the future today? Definitely let me know down in the comments below. Curious your guys' thoughts. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video there. Really enjoyed talking about the Chiefs offensive line to open up training camp in this one. So with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com. Check out the Twitter at showmefb. And that's all I got for this one, guys. I will see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.